Hi, it's me, again. It's been a while. It's been a really long time, actually, since I made a video, and I just sort of decided that it would be a good thing to do because I said before that I would make more of these, and then I never made more of these. But you'll notice we've got a change of location. Madagascar is now behind me, which I feel is a good thing. Also, my artwork, and also a plant. Because I felt like a change of scene. So the last two videos have been challenges, and I decided that it would kind of be a good idea to get past the challenges and just sort of start interacting with my followers. So I asked on Tumblr if anyone had questions, and people sent in questions. So I'm going to answer those questions now, and we'll go through them. It'll be good. I think it'll be more insight on me as a scientist and as a, a real person than the challenges which have been sort of personal but at the same time impersonal. I don't know. So yeah, we have a less restricted format, and I'm just gonna keep messing with my hair because it's too long, and it does all of these weird things. So I'm sorry for that, but there's not much I can do about it without getting a haircut, and it's a Sunday, and in Germany on Sundays everything is closed. So let's answer questions. Go! What are your favorite insects from Madagascar, and why do you like them? So my favorite insects from Madagascar are just butterflies. And the reason for that is not so much, because they're cool or anything. I mean, butterflies in Madagascar are extremely common, but the cool thing is the diversity. I mean, I did a informal count of species in 2011 when I was out there surveying reptiles, and we counted well over 40 different species just from color patterns. You can only imagine what the true diversity must be, if a Lepidopterist came in and actually did the surveys. But the butterflies they're beautiful. What do you most like to bake? I think my favorite thing to bake is hefekrans, because it's sort of a family thing. My dad always taught me how to do it, or tried to teach me how to do it. It took years until I actually mastered it, and at that point I pretty much stole a recipe off the internet rather than using my father's. But I've since modified it quite a lot, and it's gotten very good, and it's the reason for a few of my friendships and one of my relationships. So that's probably my favorite thing to bake. It has a lot of memories. It's a bit of a pain because you have to sort of make the dough and then wait for 2 hours and then bake for an hour. It's just it's a stressful thing to bake, but I do enjoy it, and I do love to eat it, and I think that is key. The random Nikki asks, what influenced you to become a zoologist and specialize in herpetology, as opposed to any other degree that involves animals or mainly reptiles? I guess there are really two ways to answer this question. Firstly, when I was a little kid, I was interested in becoming a vet. I didn't even know zoology existed. My favorite thing to do was watch David Attenborough or watch Steve Irwin. And, Steve Irwin, I didn't know he was a herpetologist. I just thought he was a cool man who got to work with a lot of animals, and I wanted to be more like him. As I got older, I realized that my dream to become a vet was not going to pan out because I'm very allergic to cats. And being allergic to cats as a vet is a bad thing because, you can't do any of the training because a lot of it's done in cats and other mammals, and it turns out I'm allergic to a lot of mammals. So that dream sort of crashed and burned, and I found reptiles and science to be more interesting. And I guess this is the other part of the question, is there any other way I could work with reptiles that isn't herpetology per se, so, working at a rescue center or anything. And I think I would consider doing that. It's more opportunity has taken me into academia, and I do love academia, and I love doing my research, and I don't think I would be comfortable just in a sort of a service role or just looking after reptiles. I'm not very good at keeping animals. People ask me all the time, how do I look after this? What sort of care requirements would you recommend for this? But I Google those answers for the most part. I mean, if you ask me something about Madagascar animals, I can answer the question reasonably well. But I have had several animals die on me. I'm not very good at keeping animals. I don't know why this is. I hate it, but I'm not good at it. and I don't think I'd be very good in that sort of role. Research is definitely where I'm better, you know, when I can go into the field, you know, it's my purpose to kill the animals, that's, you know, that's fine. But in other professions, that's not really an option. What's interesting about Uroplatus skeletons? That's a really good question. There are three things, actually, that set them apart as a group, and are the reason that they were originally put into their own family. Aside from Geckonidea, they were included in the Uroplatidae. They had their own thing. Of course, at that time, Uroplatus was spelt differently, and I don't know why that changed. But anyway, firstly, they have a really unusual larynx hyoid group of bones that are different from all other geckos. Secondly, they have ribs that go all the way down their body. It extends from behind the arms down the trunk all the way to the sacrum, which is pretty unusual. I don't know about that in other geckos, but that, to me, is bizarre. And the third thing is that they have more teeth than any other known vertebrate. If you know mammals, you'll know that the bat-eared fox has the most teeth of any mammal. Well, Uroplatus has over 300 teeth. Uroplatus fimbriatus, probably also Uroplatus giganteus. I don't know if anyone studied the dentition of giganteus, but just a really large number of very, very small teeth. Bizarre. Not known from any other animals. And so that sort of is why they are interesting and cool. As far as I know, there aren't any CT scans of Uroplatus geckos. There are lots of other geckos that have been CT scanned, but no Uroplatus. And so that is something that's going to be looked into in the future. And in fact, I can guarantee that it's going to happen because I volunteer at the Zoological State Collection, and we have access to a CT machine and probably one of the largest collection of Uroplatus geckos outside Madagascar. So we're actually going to be able to produce some CT scans of these geckos, and then we'll see what's interesting about the Uroplatus skeletons. Who knows? Beyond those 3 points, I don't know. We'll find out, though. So is Madagascar really as destroyed as people make it out to be? Or is it really mostly farmland and little true nature left? Madagascar is probably more destroyed than you think it is, not less. And we know that the original forest didn't cover the whole of the island as was previously thought, so we haven't lost as much diversity as we thought we had, but still, most of the forest is gone. So we know that this area in the middle of the island used to be grassland. Today is grassland. That hasn't really changed, but it has expanded enormously. We're seeing grassland in areas that previously were never grassland, and people are cutting down forests that are incapable of regeneration. And that's a really big problem. The forests in the south of the island are extremely old. They're actually older than any other forest in Madagascar. They're 90 million years old almost. So these are forests, the original habitat that sort of colonized the island, completely different from everything else. The Didieraceae is a group of plants found nowhere else on the planet, just in southern Madagascar. Just incredible levels of diversity, and these forests are being destroyed by people who have to live there. They have to survive. They have to somehow grow crops. I don't know why they live there, because it's an extremely inhospitable environment, but they do live there, and they do have to destroy the forest in order to plant their plants. But when they do that, they don't realize that that forest, we don't even know if it can regenerate at all. And that's happening across the island. Certainly, rainforest is better able to recover than the southern forests, but that rainforest is being wiped out at an incredible rate. And now, today, we have less than 10% of the original forest remaining on the island. Some of it is down in the south, but across the large tracts of rainforest that used to extend up the eastern coast, most of that is gone. So that's really, really tragic. The levels of deforestation are unfathomable. You can't even imagine how severe the situation is. You can drive for 8 hours without seeing anything but fields through what used to be rainforest. And that is just tragic. I don't have anything else to say on it. I mean, Madagascar's natural beauty has been all but wiped out. And it's really, really sad. Was there a specific herp or particular experience that first instilled your passion for them. I was fortunate enough to grow up with a lot of exposure to different reptiles and amphibians across the world. Living in Cincinnati for the first 9 years of my life, I got to see garter snakes and copperheads and snapping turtles and all these different things. And then when I was 5, I went to Malawi with my parents, my sister, to visit my grandparents, and there I got to see monitor lizards, and I got to catch and chase blue-tailed skinks and house geckos, and it was just, I mean, I was always sort of surrounded by reptiles. The funny thing is, I didn't notice that I was so passionate about reptiles until much later in life. And in fact, I didn't realize that this whole thing started when I was really young until last year. So last year, I kind of realized just how early this all started. And then I went through books and books that I had written as a young kid, so a first grader, second grader. And these books were written about Madagascar, and I hadn't realized that my obsession with Madagascar had started so early. That was crazy. I was like 7, and I was already like, paradise, Madagascar. That's where it's gotta be. So this whole thing with Madagascar that I thought had only started when I was 12 must have started much earlier. And I can only apologize to my parents for how much stress I must have put them through with that particular obsession. But yeah, it's just kind of the whole exposure to reptiles and amphibians, and it all has come together. There wasn't one key moment where I was like, yes, I want to work with these animals forever. It's just kind of everything together. And then in 2005, I got to go to Madagascar for the first time on a sort of pseudo-research type thing. And that was really the point where I was like, yes, okay, I'm going to do this forever. I was there for a month, and it was just life-changing. So that really is where everything comes from. Up till that point, it must have been sort of more flaky, but that solidified it for me, and I was into it. And since then, it's just been the only driving force behind everything that I've done. Artiodactyla or Perissodactyla, which do you prefer better? And please give one cutie from each that you love most. So for those of you who don't know, an artiodactyl is an even-toed ungulate, and a perissodactyl is an odd-toed ungulate. And the artiodactyls include things like sheep and antelope, and perissodactyls include things like horses and zebra, or zebra for Americans. And artiodactyls include things like whales. And perissodactyls include things like, wait, what? Yeah, whales, right? Yeah. Okay. Perissodactyls have tapirs. Yeah, but artiodactyls have whales. You make a compelling argument. So yeah, I mean, artiodactyls, I prefer because this whole group has whales. I mean, giraffe, sheep, hippo, whale. I mean, what? Yeah. So Artiodactyla includes the whales, and Perissodactyla includes horses and tapirs and rhinos. A cutie from each I'm supposed to give, so I guess in Artiodactyls I'd have to say, in spite of my loathing for hippopotamuses, which I think we'll get to, pygmy hippos are just so cute. So yeah, I'll have to go with pygmy hippos. And within the perissodactyls, so baby tapirs are adorable. If you haven't seen one, go Google one immediately. Baby tapirs, super cute. Next question. Which animal frightens you the most and why? So really there are two answers to this question. First of all, I don't like hippos. And I don't like hippos because when I was in Malawi visiting my grandparents, I was swimming in Lake Malawi. And Lake Malawi, for those of you who don't know, is a hugely diverse area for fish. The cichlid fish are native to Lake Malawi and the rest of the Great Lakes of Africa. Just incredible diversity, beautiful, beautiful fish. Of course you're going to go swimming. And you're going to go looking and snorkeling around and see just how beautiful that habitat is. It's just magnificent. But while I was swimming around, you know, we sort of got tired. We came out of the water, my sister and I playing in the sand, young kids. I was 5, she was 7. My mother is sitting over there on the beach somewhere. My father is off doing who knows what. And where we had been swimming, we hear this whoosh, and then this and everyone turns to the water, and there, exactly where we had been, is a enormous hippo. I mean, truly vast. And everyone, of course, screams and runs for their life. I mean, hippos are notoriously dangerous animals. They kill more people every year than lions. I mean, they have this bad habit of chopping people in half, and they're vegetarians, so they just sort of leave the pieces. It's just very upsetting. And so we all sort of ran for our lives. And that is why I'm scared of hippos, because traumatizing experience. But also venomous snakes. So I'm really... It's not that I'm afraid of venomous snakes, it's more that I have a healthy respect for venomous snakes. And I am somewhat afraid of accidentally stepping on one or being bitten by one when I'm trying to handle it. And this is the other issue, is I have a sort of see snake, grab snake problem. And if I see snake, grab snake, snake bite, snake kill, that's a problem too. And so I don't really like to be around places where I'm likely to be handling or running into snakes that are venomous. I have this fear, probably irrationally, that I'd be in a place with venomous snakes, I'd grab this snake, not realizing that it was a venomous snake, and it would turn around and bite me and I'd get hurt. And Madagascar is great because there are no venomous snakes, or none that are noteworthy, so you don't have to worry about that. And so, yeah, I have a pretty healthy fear of venomous snakes, and I don't regret that at all. And working in Madagascar, it's not a problem. I nearly worked in Cambodia or Western Africa, and neither of those would have gone well, because in one area I would have had to work with Gabon vipers, and the other one I would have had to work with Russell's vipers, and both of these things are extremely dangerous. Russell's vipers are known to be they have the most deaths, they inflict the most deaths per year of any venomous snake, and of course Gabon vipers have the longest fangs of any snake in the world. So both kind of want to avoid, and Madagascar seems like a happy middle ground, so that's what I've done. Yeah. And that is the end of the video, and that's the end of the questions. And thank you everyone who asked questions. I hope that you enjoyed this. And maybe we'll do it again sometime. Maybe I can actually find something to talk about next time that's not answering questions. I don't know. I seem to be able to babble for a long time. But yes, thank you for watching, and thank you for following me on Tumblr and being awesome. My hair is doing magnificent things right now. I mean, truly, who knows? Honestly, yeah. Good Lord.